And you're welcome to Election Brief. Once again, my name is Jifa Bampo. Soon, the men will be separated from the boys. And that's as 15 presidential aspirants have paid up their filing fees as part of the finalization process to contest the 2016 general elections. The filing was certainly not without drama, as Kofi Akpaloo of the Independent People's Party got into a war of words when he brought the 50,000 Ghana cedis in a Ghana must-go bag. Meanwhile, the Democratic People's Party's Thomas Ward-Brew and the United Development Systems Party withdrew their nomination, while it was a close shave for the CPP.
No, if there's something wrong with cash, Ghana City.
You have to go according to what is in the books.
No, what books? Which books? You asked me to pay money, and I've made myself available, have the money with me to pay, and now you are insisting that I should turn into cash and to check. So, I mean, CDs should be accepted in Ghana. This is not Lagos, this is not Abuja, this is Accra, and CDs should be accepted in every institution in Ghana. I mean, it's wrong for the EC to refuse to accept the CDs.
How many pieces were you filing for?
We are going to file for 23.
23. So about 10 minutes in the deadline, you are disqualifying these 23.
What can we do? We have the money. The money is ready. It's not that we don't have the money. The money is ready, but they are refusing to accept the money. So what will we do?
Would you proceed to court, perhaps?
Now we go to court. We go to court on that for a court to determine, because we don't understand why the EC, as a state institution, should refuse to accept the city nomination. I mean, I don't understand.
Is it a way of
which legal reform are you talking about? Is it in our political party laws? Is it in our constitution that institutions in Ghana should refuse to accept the tender currency?
No, she said it's in the nomination forms.
Which nomination?
Which nomination
form? Which nomination form? It's not in the nomination form.
The instructions that were...
No, there's no instructions. It's what somebody saying on the WhatsApp. But do we go by what we read on the WhatsApp?
Did you support your presidential...
Because we believe we use cash to pay goods and services in Ghana. So I don't see anything wrong. So as they are not dollars, they are not safer, they are not naira, and they are Ghana city. It should be accepted by any institution. Nobody. How will you feel? How will you feel if you carry cash to go and buy something at the shop and they decided not to pick it? How will you feel?
So will you be
Are we saying Ghana city doesn't work any longer?
So will you be coming back with the bank?
Yes. I've sent my guys to go to the bank and compare it to the check they want.
Why didn't you do that earlier?
Yeah, because we came from Kumasi. Because that's why our head office is. So we have to travel all the way from Kumasi. By the time we got here, it was 20 minutes to 12 o'clock. And not too much because we can't go to the bank and do that.
You could communicate with the EC on that.
I sent them a text message yesterday.
So why didn't?
But they didn't reply. So to my text, so I have to quickly rush here.
So why didn't you do it in Kumasi?
No, my brother, I collected the money, and then you want me to go and waste time at the bank.
Where did the money from? You collected
the money from so many people, because so many people gave me the money.
A very, very angry Kofi Akpaloo there. He's with the Independent People's Party. Well, it's hard to say what's going to happen now, but let's find out from Joy News' Joseph Akable, who is at the EC's offices, where there's a scheduled press conference that's set to go on this afternoon. So, Joseph, first, what's the situation with IPP's Kofi Akpaloo? Is he disqualified automatically?
Well, Jifa, the case for IPP's Akpaloo is that he was able to eventually get a banker's draft, that is for he as a presidential nominee, but it was that of his parliamentary nominees that he couldn't get the banker's draft. Initially, he came with the cash. The commissioner said he was not taking the cash and that he had to provide a banker's draft. He then sent to a colleague whom he later told us was just a friend who he tells us was paying the amount for him. So the friend provided a banker's draft. That's the 6,000 for he as a presidential nominee. But for his 23 parliamentary nominees, their money was the cash in the juice bag as well. And unfortunately, that was turned down by the commission. As his fate as a presidential nominee would be determined not by the filing fee as that has been presented, but the other factors, the other expectations that the commission expects him to satisfy in the nomination form, and that's what we'll be looking at. And the point we need to make clear again is that for all the other nominees as well, it's not just about the filing fee. The commissioner said last week when they received the nomination form, she mentioned that we will indeed be looking at the details provided by each nominee as asking that they satisfy the constitutional requirement before they will give the go-ahead for the person to contest in this year's post. So in some few minutes' time, Electoral Commission Chair, Madam Charlotte will be entering the conference room and will be telling us exactly who and who have made it.
So essentially, the submission of the filing fee has ended for now.
Definitely, it has ended. It ended at 12 noon exactly. And like you mentioned in your introduction about the Convention People's Party, what actually happened was that just about 2 minutes to 12, the chairman of the party, Professor Edmondele, came into the IPAC conference room. He came without a banker's draft and alerted the commissioner about that. But the commission asked that he leaves and they are going into a meeting and they will get back to him. So a few minutes later on, after he had left, he returned again. By then, the commissioners were still in a meeting. So he came back with a banker's draft. Deputy Commissioner Amadou Sile took the banker's draft from him. Then Professor Dele headed to the account section of the Electoral Commission, possibly for a receipt. We don't know what transpired in there. He exited and walked briskly out of the conference room. So we don't really know whether his nomination fee, in terms of the filing fee, has been accepted or not. But all that will come out when the commissioner addresses quite shortly. But it was a scene for us to witness here. The chairman of the party coming in a few minutes before time and without a banker's draft, and a bit of uncertainty about whether the fee has been accepted or not. But all will be put to bed once the electoral commissioner comes out shortly to address the country and tell us exactly which candidates have made it. And then again, what we need to understand is that it's not automatic that once you've paid the nomination fee, it means your nomination form has been accepted. The commissioner needs to examine it in terms of the other requirements before she comes out with that determination.
All right, thank you very much. And that's Joy News' Joseph Akable. And we'll be bringing you details of that very important news conference that's coming up shortly from the Electoral Commission's offices. But let's talk about something that's been the whole buzz all day since yesterday. And it's the new Patriotic Party's manifesto launch. And party members have been charged to go out and market the party's manifesto as one of the practical solutions to the problems facing Ghanaians. Now, the manifesto is themed An Agenda for Jobs. And at a well-attended launch, NPP flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo indicated that the manifesto is an indication of what the party stands for and wishes to achieve for Ghanaians and the country as a whole.
To my fellow NPP members, I say to you, we have a good story to tell. It is not enough to count on the suffering of the Ghanaian people as the reason to vote for us. Our programs will restore hope and bring prosperity. Let us go to every part of the country and spread the story of our good news. Tell the young people and the students about the skill training programs. Tell them there will be opportunities for all. Tell the farmers they will not be left to their own, but will be given the support to making farming the profitable and fulfilling business it should be. Tell the business entrepreneurs that their tax burden will be reduced and their business will flourish so they can create jobs. We must make sure our message is heard loud and clear from Axim to Aflao and from Accra to Paga. Tell them we shall treat the mandate they give us with respect, and we shall make Ghana a happy and prosperous place for all her people. Tell them the NPP did it under President John Ajekum Kufuor, and the NPP will take us to an even higher level under President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Tell them of the dangers, the real dangers, of 4 more years of John Dramani Mahama, under whose watch the economy has shrunk systematically, with this year's GDP growth rate being the lowest for 22 years. The IMF also tells us in its report that Ghanaian workers were poorer last year than the previous year, and they were poorer in 2014 than in 2013. Tell them it doesn't matter if they have never voted NPP or have regularly voted NDC. Tell them that this is a battle to save Ghana. In this election, we are faced with an opponent with unrestrained and unprincipled access to state resources, with apparently unlimited cash, who has confidence that they can buy your vote. If they cannot, they will try to bully you. This is the opponent we have in this election. So let me speak the words of David to our Goliath. And I quote, "You come to me with a sword, with a spear, and a javelin. But I come in the name of the Lord of hosts."
And that's a nice way to end on the words from the Bible from Nana Akufo-Addo. But let's go to the phone lines and speak to a lecturer in political science at KNUST, Dr. Edward Brinya. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Brinya. Hello, Dr. Brinya.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. So the flag bearer of the NPP has charged his members to market the party's manifesto. Will marketing the manifesto actually do what the party wants, which is to secure the much needed votes for the December elections?
Good afternoon once again to the listeners of the FM. Yes, Nana is asking voters to go and market the manifesto. I feel that one-on-one talk at this time, grassroots campaign, is very essential, that they build upon the crowd that was seen yesterday. And I think Nana needs to go beyond just asking them to market the manifesto, but Nana actually also needs to make sure that some of the people that are left out in the party, some of the people that, when we talk about, can actually add credence to Nana's call on Ghanaians to help him rebuild what Kufuor left around. If those people are actually brought on board, if the cracks, the seeming cracks in the party is actually sealed, then probably the message can go down well with the people. But I don't think at this time, just going out to market the manifesto will do the magic. He needs to bring on board, he needs to realize that it takes unity to win elections, and that those people that are left out are very core members that the NPP needs to win the election.
You talked about bringing back these core members who've been left out, but it seems that yesterday the NPP sought to deflect a certain perception that they are an Akan party. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did, and they did it very well. They did it well and nicely by bringing people from different ethnic groups to come and speak, so that at least they would change that perception that it is an Akan party. Interesting was the guy from City South who came in to actually speak, even though he didn't do very well. I think when they came to the rally ground, they did it very nicely. A lot of people were speaking different languages, Baumians, white, and when that was done beautifully, they were able to communicate to Ghanaians that they are a national party, they are not a Akan party as it is often perceived, and I think that this can be capitalized upon. It can be capitalized upon when all other people are brought on board, and it helps the NPP to march forcefully toward 2016 towards the Flagstaff House.
There seems to be some energy in the campaign. You talked about trying to draw on the diversity they showed. What else can they do if they really want this election to go their way?
I think at this point, Ghanaians need to see trust. Baumia has already started, and I believe that the NPP can continue by reaching out to the grassroots, engaging in one-on-one. Yesterday, Nana's appeal. The appeal was so convincing, it was so touching. He spoke as a different person from the Nana that we talked about. This is Nana that people thought was out of touch with the grassroots. But yesterday, his appeal made him in touch with the grassroots. He spoke so nicely, so passionate, and so appealing. And I think that this is what the masses, their campaign, the members of their campaign should go down. They should continue that appeal. Let them know that they might not have the money, Let them know that they might not have the resources, but they are in to solicit for the vote of Ghanaians. They are in to deliver. And some of the policy statements that are stated in the manifesto are vague. It's difficult, and sometimes it looks flamboyant, and you don't know how they're going to achieve. I think those that are going now need to reach out to the people. They need to speak to the people, let the people know how, for instance, if they are talking about jobs, how the jobs created out of their life. They shouldn't just leave it open and let individuals think about how the government will be first. And I think if they do that, then they can actually get a lot of people to sympathize with their cause and hopefully vote Nana into power by the election 2016.
All right, many thanks to you, Dr. Edward Brinya of KNUST Political Science Department. And still on campaign activities, you know, a lot of the time when it comes to these campaign activities, women and especially the spouses of these flag bearers or running mates are usually behind supporting. But one spouse who does not seem to shy away from the front view is Mrs. Samira Bawumia, wife of running mate Dr. Bawumia. And she put up a strong defense for the NPP flag bearer.
Kukrudu, Jama, muche alhamdulillah, muche alhamdulillah. Yenka yede nyamiase, yenyina yende ye nyamiase. Se ye penyi nanado danko ekufu Addo. Until se John Dramani Mahama president, and run me free stream by. Nikrom for Nisio Monumo, where Sissy Billboard, Kessia, on Jenny Crom for home. Yepepenia, Watima. Muna Nema, one decade, Soya Yamagana. One that is where Magana Aiki. One that says we are Tanya Ghana. A leader who is going to move Ghana forward. A competent leader, an incorruptible leader. This election is about the young people, the women of Ghana. We have to rise. It is time to rise for change. I am inspired by our leader. I am inspired by his integrity. I am inspired by his honesty. I am inspired by his incorruptibility. I am inspired by his courage. I am inspired by his tenacity. Let's rise for change. Kukrudu! Kukrudu! Kukrudu!
Very, very powerful speech there coming from Samira Bawumia. She's the wife of the NPP's running mate, Dr. Bawumia. Well, the NPP manifesto launch was not all serious business. It was fun for those who chose to sell paraphernalia. Some people chose to drink calipo. Others were just not interested in the serious business and decided to party. Let's bring you some excerpts of that.
You can tell from the crowd, you can tell on the stage, the people that were there. How can we say we are not united? We are united, but of course, Calipo have a lot of energies, and we are trying to tell NPP government that Calipo is a Ghanaian product, which is a product for every Ghanaian. We don't mean to, probably bring a product from United States or any of the European countries.
Calipo. I'm drinking Calipo because of Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. I like Calipo. I love Calipo only because of Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. Yes. And the change is not coming. The change has come. Yes. And the change is now. Yes. Change has come. Nana Akufo-Addo.
So I want free education.
Yeah. But what's the connection between free education and the Calipo?
Oh, Nana is just a fun.
Are you now associating Addo with Calipo? Are you now associating?
Yeah.
So now if you see Calipo, you see what? What do you see?
When I see
Calipo, I see Nana Akufo.
No, when I see when I see Calipo, I see Kukrudu, and when I see Kukrudu, I see the elephants. When I see the elephants, I see Nana Addo. Yes, the same.
Well, you know, one thing that was raised is about the unity of the NPP as they move into this elections. They've suffered so much over the period in an attempt to get here. And we know of party members who've been suspended and no action yet or no word yet on whether they're going to be part of this campaign. Well, NPP firebrand and MP for Asin Central, Ken Ajapong, says as far as he's concerned, the party is unified and he is charging party members to remain vigilant at the polls.
You can tell from the crowd, you can tell on the stage, the people that were there. How can we say we are not united? We are united, but of course, you might have people who have differences. NDC has the same problem, but probably they manage to cover up. But you cannot have 100% unity. But if you mention 2 or 3 people who are disgruntled, does it mean that we are not united? We are. We are a force to reckon. We are united. We saw Alan, we saw President Kufuor, we saw Dr. Pro, we saw almost everybody that matters were there.
Okay. So given that you're given the opportunity to predict, what are your predictions for your party's extent of success on December 7th?
My prediction is 54%. We'll win 54%. And this time, boot for boot. When they vote, our youth are going to stand there and see. They will watch what is going on. We're not going to go to bed, sleep, then we'll come back and cry. No. We are there to monitor the election, to the coalition room, make sure it is declared. We take the pictures. We also send it to our coalition center.
Very confident Ken Ajapong there. And one thing that's going to be looked at is the Eastern Region Convention People's Party. They are threatening legal action against the Electoral Commission if there is any manipulation of the nomination process for the Afram Plains South constituency. Now, the suggestion is that there seems to be another candidate that has been promoting himself as part of the process. At the close of nomination, 3 people, William Hall for the NPP, Yunbo Michael Jordan of the CPP, and Kevon Mark Oliver of the NDC, who replaced Apia Boateng, had filed. But all of a sudden, it seems one candidate called Opoku Nsia has been promoting himself, even though he was not on the list of those who'd filed their nominations. We'll be following up on that later on. And also, the president is launching the Braille version of the NDC's manifesto to enable those who are visually impaired have access to the details of their manifesto. You can get more on that on the Pulse later on here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. And that's all in this afternoon's edition of Election Brief. My name is Jifa Bampo. If you missed the live edition, you can catch it on YouTube. Thanks for watching.